Okay, so this is my Rotary moment, and as I understand it, I have about 3 minutes to give you a chance to get to know me better. So even though Andy's given us somewhat a script to follow, I'm not going to follow that, because I think most of those things many of you already know. For example, you know I'm a native North Carolinian, originally from Charlotte, went to UNC. I'm divorced. I have one son who's grown, he's married, and hoping for grandchildren. I'm an attorney, work for the state court system, specifically the North Carolina Court of Appeals. So try to think of some other things. What are some other things that you may not know about me that would help you to get to know me better? So here are some, and some of these are a little random, but this is what I came up with. First, I thought about what are 3 words that ex-boyfriends would have used to describe me. Could be a dangerous thing, but so the first word that was used very commonly is sweet, which I think that's accurate. Second word was strong, as in emotionally strong. Now, I don't think that all of them meant that as a compliment, but in any event, I think it probably is a good thing. And the third is goofy. And, goofy is not one of those words you normally use to describe a significant other, but I've gotten it quite a few times, so I guess it must be true. And that's okay. I've learned to embrace my goofiness. Next thing, my pet peeve. My pet peeve are assumptions. I hate it when we assume things about in a situation. I wish people would just ask rather than assume. And it even comes up when people get to know each other. Like you might look at me and assume certain things because I'm a woman, or because of my hair color, or my skin color, or because of my occupation, or whatever it might be. So I would much rather we just get to know each other and kind of get past those things. Because a lot of things you would assume, a lot of them would be true, but a lot of them are not. So that's my pet peeve. Next, I have 5 things you might be surprised to find out about me. The first is that I was painfully shy as a child and well into adulthood. And I've come a long way. Now I would not describe myself as shy, and I'm thrilled about that, because that was a long progression. So very happy about that. Secondly, I came exceedingly close to joining the FBI. When I got out of school, they were hiring, and I was within 2 weeks of going to Quantico for training. So, but then I got a call, offered another job, and my parents were tremendously relieved. Did not see me in the FBI. Third thing you might be surprised to learn is that I spent a substantial amount of time up in the mountains helping my family build a log home. This is throughout middle school and high school years. Pretty much every weekend, every summer, we were up there helping to build a log home. Now, my father had this idea that we could do this ourselves. Now, unfortunately, he had 3 daughters and 1 son who was younger than me and not very coordinated. So this was quite the challenging task. So I learned a lot about how to build a house, and this was very participatory. And at the time, I can't say that I really enjoyed it so much, because I really would rather have been with my friends. But in hindsight, I realized it was a pretty cool experience. Fourth thing, to be honest, I did not have a happy childhood. That's just how it is. Not looking for sympathy, but just some people have a happy childhood, some people don't, and that's just how it is. I do believe you can't let your circumstances defeat you. Whatever they would be, you've got to move on, and I feel like I have. But that, I think, has formed me as well in various ways, particularly in terms of causing me to have a greater compassion for children in difficult circumstances. And then fifth thing you might be surprised to find out about me, kind of tying into the last, is part of what made my childhood a little more challenging. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine. And as a result of that, I had to wear a Milwaukee back brace for 3.5 years. And that's like 23 hours out of the day. And for those of you who don't know what a Milwaukee back brace is, it's one of these where supports you here and supports you here, and you have metal rods front and the back and plastic hips. So this was not cool. So as you can imagine, at that age, 13 to 16 and a half, that was not a good experience, but it was for the best, straightened up my back. So in that respect, I realized there was benefit. But definitely, I'm extremely glad to have that behind me. And on my worst day now, I can look back and say, well, at least I'm not having to wear a back brace today, because that was just kind of a physically and emotionally painful experience to go through. But that also has given me a greater appreciation for anyone who looks different, in any respect, to know what they're going through and to have a greater compassion for them. And then lastly, I'll tie back to something that Andy actually wanted me to talk about, which are my passions. My passions first, chocolate, you know, love it. What's not to love about chocolate? Secondly, traveling. I love to travel. I've been fortunate enough in recent years to be able to go on one big trip a year. This past year I went up to the eastern coast of Canada. Really enjoyed that. My favorites on traveling so far have been Switzerland. Was only there for 2 days and it was cold and rainy, but I loved it and would love to go back. And of course I have a close affinity for the mountains because that's basically the North Carolina mountains because that's basically my second home. The third thing, passion, would be dancing to music, you know, at home. Again, this could be why I get called goofy. You know, you put the music on, get some good exercise, just kind of dance around. Doesn't matter that you have no dance training, doesn't matter that you're not good. Great exercise, and to me, dancing is joyful expression. So that's the attitude I embrace, and just something that you might want to know about me. And just a couple more things. Another passion is protecting the environment, especially because we did a lot of camping and hiking growing up, and all the time we spent in the mountains definitely contributed to that. I'm very much a tree hugger. And of course, a passion is helping others who are less fortunate than us, particularly children, greater concern there, but for all. And that's a key reason why I joined Rotary. And then lastly, one of my passions is choosing happiness. For me, I believe that happiness is a choice, and it's certainly my choice. And I think it's important to be appreciative and grateful for what you have. And so that's really worked for me, and it's a big philosophy that, you know, that I follow. Attitude is everything. So there you have it. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about me. Give us more to talk about next time. And look forward very much to learning more about each of you as well.